Okay, we've got our course, and we're going to look at adding, how to add activities and resources to our course and what that means in particular. Now again, this top section, it'd be best if you leave it completely blank because that one's always there, and if it gets too long, some teachers keep putting things there and don't realize they're making it so it's harder for the students to get to that material, particularly on portable devices and smaller screens, which they may have at home. Um, So it's best to leave this empty and use those sidebars that we talked about, or side blocks, to put stuff in that you just want to show up all the time. That way your core content's always showing in the middle. So we're going to go to chapter 1. So I'm going to click on chapter 1 to be in this one. And editing is already on, but if you're logged into a course, if you have permission and you're logged in, you should see this turn editing on box. If you don't see it, in some themes that's not there, but you always have it under course administration. You can turn it on here. They both do the same thing. And when we turn editing on, we see the ability to add activities or resources. This activity chooser off makes it look like the old Moodle. It's the same thing. It's just kind of a drop down to those items, whereas when you've got the activity chooser in the default mode, it gives you the icons and let you see what you're adding. So we're going to look at adding some things. I'm going to look at resources first, which is in this case at the bottom. Resources are things for students to view or look at or access or see. They are not necessarily things to do, although you can kind of make them do things through resources. They just don't have an innate grade feature on resources, so there's nothing going to show up in your grade book when you add a resource. So I'm just going to add the basic one just to show you what a resource is, and then we're going to show you how to kind of move it around. And I'm really only going to show you 2 of them, and then there's more videos on how to add all the specific, more advanced one. So the first one I'm going to show you is label. A label is just text that's going to show up on your page. I use labels extensively to break out things like chapter, this is the chapter reading, this is the chapter quizzes kind of thing. So it's just a block that shows up your page. So I'm going to click label and click add. And again, this is the standard Moodle text editing area. If you hit this button, you get more choices, which are particularly important if you're a math teacher or chemistry teacher and you want to get some of those other blocks. It also gives you the ability to go full screen. If you want to go full screen, that's what this button here toggles. And if you're trying to embed and you know how to use HTML code, this is the button that lets you go to HTML code view. And I'm going to talk through actually the whole thing while we're here, since this is our first resource activity. So I've got the resource open. Again, this button gives us that extra line of things to put in here. And I'm going to add just some text here. And I'm going to add some text with some links just so I can kind of show you everything in the Moodle editing box all at the same time. So let's say chapter reading is my header here, and I can go and highlight that and change the text size with the T. I have lots of options. It's not because we're not printing it, it's just a view, and the view then is related to what size the screen is. It's not in traditional font sizes because it's not a printable page. It's just from really small to really big. So I'm going to pick large here for my top. You can also see I do get some font types. It's not as big as your list maybe that you're used to seeing when you're on your word processing software, but again, it's just some basic fonts to make things look a little different. I can also change the color if I want to change the text color if I want to as well. And I have the ability to highlight text items. If I want to highlight them, I can back highlight them too with the little highlighter button there. The last thing, well, not the last thing, then I also have standard. Do I want this centered, left, right, justified? I could do that. And then I have standard bold, italics, and underline buttons if I want to really have it highlighted. The other buttons down here are standard Word. If I want to do bulleted lists, I want to do numbered lists, and then I can indent those things as I go. So I might have chapter reading and then go back to my left indent, and I might do a bulleted list. And here I can have just the header. For instance, this might be a header with a bunch of things underneath it, or I might put it all on this label like I'm about to do. So so I'm going to make it basic MLA, and I'm going to unbold and underline that stuff. So what I'm showing you here is how to link to another thing. So I'm going to go and find a resource on how to do basic MLA. So I found this MLA handbook for writers that I want to link in my reading section. So I'm going to highlight the text that I want to turn into a link. And here's my link and unlink button. So if I hit the link button, I'm just going to put the address in there. And in my case, I'm always going to say open in a new window because I don't want them to leave where we're at. And I'm going to hit create link. And now I've got a link, hopefully. And I'm going to go ahead and save return to course to show you what that looks like. So now, if I clicked on there, I go to that link and it opens up a new page. Which you can't really see my tabs because I didn't start recording that high up, but it shows a new page that opens up if I click on that for my readers. So this is a label. I'm going to go ahead and edit and go back into the label editing here. And you saw that was the HTML code associated with it. That's what the HTML looks like. And then I can add other things in here that I might want the students to read during this chapter, and so I can I might just have one on works cited. I'm going to unbold and underline that, and underline that as well, and take away all my extra spaces after that one, and then I might find the same thing, an article on that. So I'm going to do something else. I'm going to make it a link this time. So this is using works cited using EasyBib, and again I just hit the link. I drop in EasyBib's address and say open a new window to create that link. So that is a label, and I use labels a lot in my course to break out where things are. So if we were to look at my chapter 1, you can see this is a label. It says Introduction to PCs, and the information underneath that student can use. This is a label that says Basic Setting Up, and another activity, chapter reading, 2 activities, quizzes. I just use labels to break those things up so it doesn't just become a really long list of things to do. It breaks it up and hey, there's the blending assignments, there's my chapter reading, and the test would be down there if I hadn't already hidden it in the class. So you can see how I use labels to break those things up inside the course itself. So that's a label, and that's the basic resource. We'll go to look at the other resources later just to kind of give you an idea of resources. Activities are added basically the exact same way. I pick the activity and then I add the activity. I'm going to stop this video here because I've just kind of showed you the editing features, and now I'm going to make a list and make videos for all those other individual activities and stuff below this one in the list.